Imagine a vast valley, sun-baked and silent. On one side stood the Israelites, God's chosen people. On the other side stood the Philistines, their enemies. The tension was as thick as the dust in the air. The Philistines had issued a challenge. A giant named Goliath stood before the Israelites, daring them to send out their best warrior. The Israelites were terrified. Day after day, Goliath taunted them. He was a giant of a man, clad in bronze armor that glinted in the sun. His voice boomed across the valley, shaking the ground beneath their feet. No one dared to face him. Far away in the fields of Bethlehem, a young shepherd named David tended his father's sheep. Day after day he led them to green pastures and still waters, ensuring they were safe and well fed. David was known for his courage. He was not just a shepherd, he was a protector, a guardian of his flock. He had fought off lions and bears to protect his flock. With nothing but his sling and his faith, he faced these wild beasts fearlessly. David was also a man of deep faith. Every night, under the vast sky, he would pray and sing praises to God. He believed in the one true God and trusted in his protection. His faith was his strength, guiding him through every challenge. One day, David's father sent him to the Israelite camp. He was to check on his brothers and bring them food. He was to bring food to his brothers, who were soldiers in Saul's army. David eagerly set out, carrying provisions for his siblings. David arrived at the camp just as Goliath was issuing his daily challenge. The sight of the giant warrior left him in awe. David was shocked by what he saw. The fear in the eyes of the Israelite soldiers was palpable. How could the Israelites let this giant defy the armies of the living God? David's heart burned with righteous indignation. Goliath was a terrifying sight. He stood over 9 feet tall. His spear was as thick as a weaver's beam. He carried a sword so large that David could have used it as a shield. Goliath was a seasoned warrior, used to striking fear into the hearts of his enemies. He had never lost a battle. The Israelites trembled before him. Even King Saul, the tallest man in Israel, was afraid. Day after day, Goliath roared his challenge, and day after day, the Israelites remained paralyzed with fear. Section 4. Courage against impossibility. David faces Goliath. David listened in disbelief as his brothers and the other Israelite soldiers described Goliath's might. The giant's reputation had spread fear throughout the camp, and the soldiers were paralyzed by the thought of facing him. He couldn't understand their fear. To David, the size of the opponent didn't matter as much as the strength of his faith. David believed that God, who had helped him defeat lions and bears, would surely grant him victory over this giant. His faith was unshakable and his resolve was clear. He stepped forward, his heart filled with faith and courage. Every step he took was a testament to his unwavering belief in a higher power. David told King Saul that he would fight Goliath. His voice was steady and his eyes shone with determination. Saul laughed at the young shepherd. The idea seemed absurd to him, a mere boy challenging a seasoned warrior. How could a boy hope to defeat a giant? But David stood firm. His confidence was not in his own strength, but in the power of his God. He told Saul about his encounters with the wild beasts and how God had delivered him. Each story was a testament to his faith and courage. David's courage and faith impressed Saul. The king saw something in the young shepherd that he hadn't seen in any of his seasoned warriors. Section 5. A sling, a stone, and a victory for the ages. David refused to wear Saul's heavy armor. He knew that it would only weigh him down and restrict his movements. Instead, he went to a nearby stream and chose 5 smooth stones. Each stone was carefully selected for its perfect shape and weight. He put them in his shepherd's bag and approached Goliath, carrying only his staff and his sling. His heart was filled with courage and faith. Goliath laughed when he saw David. The giant warrior couldn't believe that such a young boy would dare to challenge him. He called him a boy and threatened to feed him to the birds. David stood his ground, unwavering and resolute. He shouted back to Goliath, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." His voice echoed with conviction. Then, with all his might, David swung his sling and let the stone fly. The air was tense with anticipation. The stone shot through the air and struck Goliath squarely in the forehead. The impact was immediate and powerful, bringing the giant to his knees. Section 6. David's Triumph. A legacy of courage and faith. Goliath, the mighty giant, collapsed to the ground with a thunderous crash. The Philistines were horrified. They turned and fled in terror. David's victory was not just a victory over Goliath. It was a victory over fear itself. It showed the world that even a young shepherd, armed with faith and courage, can overcome the greatest of obstacles. David's courage and faith in God became legendary. He went on to become the greatest king of Israel, a symbol of courage and faith for generations to come. His story reminds us that with God, all things are possible.